Okay, we're going to talk about cryptoviruses, which is a relatively new genre of viruses. It started around 2008 or 9, but they were embryonic and didn't work very well. But in 2013, the game changed a lot. And we're going to talk about the relatively modern ones. The basic thing for a cryptovirus is it's a virus that when it's installed on your computer, it tries to find all your data files, and then it's going to encrypt them with a strong encryption key. Now, if any of you have done crypto puzzles and crossword puzzle books, that's substituting one character for another. Strong encryption key uses the 256 characters in the standard bytecode, and then they rotate those and change them, and it's almost impossible. They estimate it would take, like 100 centuries in order to crack some of these by brute force. So without the key, you won't get your data back. So anyway, and once they've encrypted them, they will leave you a message demanding payment, and they usually want it via Bitcoin in order to unlock your data. Now, cryptovirus is a form of ransomware. The older form, they used to pop up a thing saying your computer's infected, dial this number in order to get uninfected, and when in fact the only encryption or only problem you had was the one web page that was popping up the warning, and it would have fancy countdowns, how many viruses they found and how many problems they had, all kinds of things. But it's basically just a form of scareware. But the really dangerous one is the cryptovirus. Both of these, they require a ransom in order for you to fix the problem. Okay, well, how will you know if you get a cryptovirus? Well, it won't be difficult. First of all, the virus will crypto lock all your data files. You can't open them. So when you click on something, it doesn't open up. And it can take up to 3 days to do the full encryption. But then when you get done, you'll see something like, okay, and this is the crypto locker, which was Genesis for the modern version, the 2013, September 2013. And this was what it would look like. And all of the ones since then are somewhat related. They tell you your personal files are encrypted at the top. They tell you that the private key will be destroyed, and they'll give you a date certain. Typically, it's 3 days. And then the original cryptovirus actually had a countdown. If this were the live GIF file, that 955635 in yellow that you see right here would be counting down. The seconds would be ticking off in order to attempt to get you to be hasty about paying them money. Also, they would increase the amount of money that you needed. They still do. The longer it takes you to get to them, the more expensive it becomes in many cases. The different hackers do it differently, but that tends to be what you get. Now, the original crypto locker wanted you to pay with money orders and all kinds of things, which were too easily tracked. And so since then, they've all switched to Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. There are a couple out with different cryptocurrencies besides Bitcoin. Now, who's been hit by these? Well, you can see the list. I got 6 of the bigger, more splashy ones who paid thousands and thousands of dollars. But that's the first 6. But the ones down at the bottom are the more interesting one. The Chinese government website, BBC, AOL, and New York Times all had infections, so that if you went to their sites and you clicked on something you shouldn't have, then you would get a cryptovirus. Now you go, well, how in the world did BBC and AOL, New York Times do this? And the answer is, on the pages, they run ads, usually in boxes on the right-hand side. And they're ad companies that lease space and for so many clicks, and they will then put different ads in the boxes depending on what they think you might like. And they do all of the following who you are and the stuff out of your cookies and so on, and they'll put up whatever they think you would like. And the hackers would then trick the advertising companies, not BBC, AOL, or New York Times, but the advertising companies providing the ads. And so if you clicked on what the BBC, AOL, New York Times, and others have thought were legitimate ads, they weren't. They had tricked a less scrupulously scrubbed advertising company. Those mostly have gone away. Most of the time now, when you get tricked in a website, the website's probably not one you should have gone to in the first place. But you need to be aware that it's possible anywhere. So anyway, you want to know how profitable it is? Well, ransomware spiked 6,000% in 2016, and that might be conservative. 40% of all email had ransomware. These are all fairly large statistics gathered from Gmail and other large email providers. The next one, I don't really know. CNBC says 70% of the businesses paid hackers for decryption, and 20% paid more than $40,000. Not sure about those numbers, but nonetheless, it's a lot. And there are a whole bunch of industry estimates that say that the total payments in 2016 amounted to more than $1 billion. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but it's a whole lot of money. And if it isn't $1 billion, it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of, and that makes a nice, round, easy to publicize number to get clicks on websites. Anyway, question that comes up is, well, why can't law enforcement just get rid of it? Well, first of all, there are only a few creators of cryptovirus scripts, maybe 25 in the world. But the cryptovirus creators never use the software themselves. They lease it out by inviting hackers in the dark web, the parts of the web you can't see very easily unless you go onto the Tor network. They invite hackers to share with their scripts. And so the 25 cryptovirus scripts that are out there are then morphed by thousands of, and we'll call them hackers, but they're really not, who put a wrapper on the original scripts. And they need no significant computer programming skills. In fact, if they're a good programmer, they're probably not a good cryptovirus hacker, because what they want you to do is to click on a link or do something else that's stupid. And they do that by trying to panic you, trying to entice you, trying to make, excite your sense of greed. Whatever they do, it's called social engineering. And the guys who are really good at this are like psychologists who understand how you think and how you can be tricked into doing things. The amount of computer skills necessary to put the wrapper on, they do a cookbook on it. It's pretty easy to do. A 14-year-old with moderate computer skills can do that easily. Again, the big thing is that it's how do they trick you? Are they any good? Do they have good tricking skills, not programming skills? But the antiviruses can't get it because the 25 cryptovirus scripts give rise to thousands and thousands of viruses, and most of these last less than a month. They will come out with it for a month. Once they've been tracked down and people start to figure out what they're doing, they close it up and then they rewrite the script and they do it and try and trick you a different way. So it's almost impossible. Law enforcement has taken down several of the sites. Last year, about this time, they took down the Locky network. Locky cryptovirus was accounting for more than half of the stuff out there, the cryptovirus out there. They took them down. It made a dent in it, but all that happened is the other 24 cryptovirus writers became more significant, and the Cerber, CERBER, and several others came to the fore to replace the Locky. And again, the cryptovirus community, the attacking community, goes on my side, tend to put these into the families of who the creator of the virus is, rather than trying to keep track of all of the different guys who put them out there. But it's just a Hydra type problem. Every time you cut off one head, 1,000 more appear. So it's been very, very difficult for law enforcement. The most common viruses are delivered via email zip files. And in point of fact, I received one today when I was setting up to click on the, how to go in to do this program. I had received 2 emails. One was how to join the APCUG Zoom program, and the other one was a zip file with no message in it, just a zip file. Like, I'm going to be stupid enough to open up the zip file, but I can pretty well guarantee you that that was, had I clicked on the zip, it would have crypto encoded my whole presentation today, and it would have been a demonstration probably I didn't want to do. But anyway, it's really easy to get it. The infected websites, we talked about that a little bit for, you know, the BBC, AOL, New York Times, and other have been hit, but also just sites that will pay, you know, they pay to put themselves up at the top of website searches, and you click on them instead of going to the real ones, and then you know, they've got viruses and they trick you. Those get taken down, but you know, you take it down and 100 more replace them. So they've also started delivering this thing by cracking remote desktop logins for primarily Windows servers, Windows computers, and those are really nasty. That's what I got hit with, or my customer got hit with. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But remote desktop, if you use it, go back and start looking at fixing that. Infected email PDF files are starting to come out. This is the new one, and this is the resurrection of Locky. Most of the Locky viruses that are coming out now that they have recreated the infrastructure that was taken down a year ago, they're sending out PDF files. You click on the PDF file to open it. It says, I want to open a Word document file. You open a Word document file. If you have UAC turned on, user account control turned on, it'll say you want to run a script. If you don't have UAC turned on, it just runs a script in the background, and that will, of course, infect you. And then the one that's kind of nasty now is if you have phones, either Android or iPhone, you can go to the stores and you can download apps and you can install them, and they will be virus-free. But when they come out with version 2 of the app and it pops up and it says there's an update to your app, you want to install it, those don't go to the Google Store iOS. They go to the hacker's site, and they have been installing cryptoviruses on phones and tablets this way, and it's pretty nasty. Then, of course, email attachments with Word and Excel files, and those, yeah, anyway, those are the way you get them. So the platforms have been targeted: Windows XP, anything XP or later, including all server variants, Macs, Linux, Oracle databases, Android and phones and tablets, Apple phones and tablets. Means pretty much everybody. Well, I don't know. If you're still running a BlackBerry, maybe you're not at risk. I'm not sure about that one. Anyway, how do you protect yourself? Because you're going to need to, unfortunately. First of all, protection comes in layers. First step is do not get infected in the first place. Okay, first rule, and this is going to be very tough for everybody, never open an email attachment again. Don't open it. Okay, now there may be a few exceptions to that. I have a customer who's their salesman and their sales marketing department sends out email attachments every day for them to work on for the day's work, and they can work from home. Okay, but at least you know who it's coming from, and it's probably not going to be an encrypted virus. So, but other than that, don't click on it. Okay, for heaven's sakes, don't click on links in email. You know, both of these, you'll get stuff that says it's from your bank. Whatever your bank is, they send them out with every bank's name. They use the bank logos. They use all of the stuff. They try to make it look like the real bank attachment, the real bank email. But they will tell you there's a problem with your thing, or you have a deposit, or this or that, or anything to get you to click on the link in the email. You don't have to. Just open up your browser, you know, your Chrome, your Firefox, your Edge, your Safari, whatever browser you're using. Go to the bank in the normal way, log in. If there's anything there that really needs your attention, they'll have a splash page up that'll tell you, oh, you have a problem with your account or whatever. But whatever you do, do not click on the links in the email and don't click on the email attachments. We all have friends who send out just piles and piles of cute videos and cute stuff, and you just click on the link in the email. And unfortunately, I'm going to tell you, you need to start turning that off. Just don't do it. Because it only takes one of those guys to sneak a link in to a site you don't want to go to, and you're going to be in trouble. So anyway, email, read the emails. Whatever it tells you to do it in a browser. Don't click on anything in the email. And that's got to become a habit. I know it's nasty, but that's the way it is. Okay. If you click on a link in a web page and it wants to install anything, or it tells you, your Adobe Acrobat's not up to date, or you need a new version of Flash, or you need anything, it doesn't matter what it is it says you need. Okay, do not try to shut the page down by clicking in the corner or clicking on the X or any of that stuff, because the page is hacked. And one of the things that they will do is they will put a transparent link above the X in the corner of the browser so that if you click on it, it says, yes, I want to install the virus. Okay? Now you can't see it, but it's there. So what you want to do, if you're using Windows, Alt F4 will shut the page down immediately. Just do Alt F4. Program Manager, you can go Control Alt Delete, go into Program Manager, and go turn off Chrome, Firefox, whatever the browser is. Shut them off. Do not click on links trying to shut them off. You may create bigger problems than you had to begin with. Okay, so that one's a tough one, because people start to do things without thinking, and they will try to panic you into doing things without thinking. So your best protection is stop and think. Your brain is the best protection, but if your brain panic is your worst enemy. So anyway, if a PDF asks for permission to open a Word or Excel document, click no and delete the PDF. I really don't care what the PDF is. It has no business trying to open up other programs. And if an Office document asks to run scripts, click no and delete the document. And again, there are a few exceptions, like my salesman client who gets one every day and it's got a whole bunch of scripts, and you got to click on yes to run the scripts. But he knows it comes from the home office and so on. But other than that, if there's a 1 in a million chance that it's a fake, don't click it. I mean, really, it's serious. Okay, this one's for Windows only, I think. But if you use the Adobe Reader for PDF files, do this, and you can do it now while we're talking, maybe. Open the Adobe PDF Reader, click on Edit and then Preferences, and under Categories, which is a long list on the left, select Trust Manager, it's the bottom one, and then uncheck Allow Opening of Non-PDF File Attachments with External Applications. Why in the world they default to allowing PDF to open up everything else, Pandora's box of unknown programs? Why they would allow that by default, I have no idea. I think Adobe is criminally negligent, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, click OK to confirm your uncheck. And anyway, if you use other default applications for PDFs, do a search to see whether you can disable it. There are hundreds of them out there. I don't know how to do all of them, but certainly the Adobe Reader, which a lot of people use, I think most Windows users use, that one's easy to fix. So anyway, okay, now hopefully we've given you some tools for not clicking on anything to start the application of a cryptovirus. But in the event that you do get a cryptovirus for all of your care, now you need to protect yourself. Now for Windows, you can use the Windows Backup or a third-party program Acronis has been very good to user groups, and it's an excellent backup program. I would encourage anybody to support Acronis because they support the user group community, but you can use Windows Backup or whatever. For Macs, you can use a Time Machine. For Linux, whatever your distro tends to put out, or you can do anything there. And there are cryptoviruses for Linux. Lovely. Anyway, do a full system backup, sometimes called an image backup, and do it onto a removable hard drive. Don't use a flash drive. Use a removable hard drive. The reason for that is, first of all, most flash drives aren't anywhere near large enough. You might have a terabyte hard drive. You might have 300 gigabytes on it. And in order to do full system backups and then to do incremental backups after that, you need probably a 750 gigabyte hard drive. And you may find a flash drive that's that big, but it'll be very expensive. And trying to do a restore from a flash drive is possible, but it's really tricky. You're much better off to do the full system backup on a removable drive. You can get USB backup drives for about $100, and you need one that's a little bit larger than your basic hard drive, or hard drives if you have more than one. But do your full system backup onto that. When you have finished doing that, unplug the drive and put it in a safe place, not connected to your computer. And the reason for that is, and we talked about that before, if the hacker can see your hard drive, he can encrypt it. So if you leave it plugged in, your backup will get encrypted, which will make it pretty much useless. Okay, now once you've backed up your computer, if you make any significant changes to the programs and apps on your computer, then redo the update, or update the backup. Most of the image backup programs will allow you to do an update to the image, and it'll do an add-on, and you'll be good to go. So that in the event you had to restore the basic operating system of your computer, you would then be able to restore all of your programs and all of your settings and so on. But then again, once you've done that, unplug it. And then make sure your phones and tablets are syncing with the cloud. I don't care whether it's Android Cloud or Google Cloud or Apple Cloud, but make sure that they are syncing to the cloud so that your system is backed up, and make sure that you have copies of those, that you then copy them down to your main computer, assuming you have one. Okay. Cloud backups are too slow for system restores, so don't try to back up your full system to the cloud. I don't care what cloud you have. I've got a terabyte of backup on the Microsoft cloud, and but it's too slow. I would never ever think of backing up the whole thing. If I ever had to restore from the cloud, it would take days. But not a useful solution. Okay, once the operating system is safe, you still will need to back up the data that changes daily, or every few days, or however active you are. For computer users, best solution is to buy and install an automatic backup program like Carbonite or Mozy. Those will run in the background. The thing that's interesting about them is that they have a login built in, but the login is your Mozy or Carbonite username and password. It's not the username and password you log into your computer with, so the hacker can't see them. And if you haven't been stupid enough to put a link on your desktop that the Mozy and Carbonite password is XYZ, they can't get to it. So those work very, very well. Now, one thing that will happen is if you get a cryptovirus, Carbonite and Mozy or anybody else that's this kind of a backup will give you a really nice copy of all your crypto locked files. But these guys all have versioning. Mozy and Kryptonite will back up every version of every file for 90 days. So even if you don't get a virus, if you accidentally mess up a file, you can go into those programs and go, give me last Tuesday's version of the file, and it'll back it up, restore it to your hard drive, and you're off and running with a copy of it that you can use. And both of the programs and most of the other programs that are similar to them will make copies of every single change in a file you do for a period of time, 30 to 90 days typically. And so those are golden for those of you who have, really useful, important, valuable files and want to keep track of when they change. Okay, if you get an Office 365 subscription, the Office Personal 365 comes with a terabyte of cloud backup for one user, but you can put it on your tablet, your phone, your desktop, your laptop. It'll allow you to do, I think, 5 installs. The Office 365 Home will allow you to have a terabyte of cloud backup for 5 users. That would be, a family of 5 or whatever, and they each get a terabyte. And again, they do versioning pretty well so that you can set them up and use them and have pretty good backup of your data, as long as the next line, you configure your OneDrive. That's the Microsoft Drive backup program. Configure your OneDrive to put all your data in it. You migrate your My Document folder and My Photos and so on into the OneDrive, and then all your data will be put into it. OneDrive is fairly much like Dropbox or other online programs. You can also, if you're in the Google ecosystem, if you're an Android phone and you don't use the Microsoft Office, you just use the Google Office stuff, you can use the Google Drive, but Google Drive for free only comes with 15 gigabytes of data. In this day and age, most of us have more than that in photos. So you may need to buy space. You can buy space relatively inexpensively, and you can back up everything there. But Google Drive or OneDrive will work. They are, in the event of a cryptovirus, their solutions are nowhere near as convenient as Carbonite or Mozy. And again, if you're not into buying the expensive OneDrive or the expensive update to Google Drive for the amount of space you need, Carbonite and Mozy may very well be better for you. But anyway, and there are other cloud systems that have versioning, but the one thing you want to make sure is that they keep versions at least a month out. So anyway, but somehow or other, you've got to back up the data. Now, if you don't want to do cloud backups, you can do it yourself, but I'm just telling you, human nature doesn't work very well with this. You can get several large flash drives, you can rotate them, and you can do manual backups on them. But you got to remember to plug them in, you got to remember to do the manual backups. The manual backups take a little bit of time. And human nature being what it is, you'll do it for a couple of weeks, and then 6 months from now, when you get the virus, you've got 6-month-old data. We get guys in the shop all the time. They go, yeah, I got a backup. And you go, well, okay, where is it? Yeah, I don't know how recently I did it. And you go look at it, and it's 6 months or a year old. Manual backups the manualizing of your backup tends to get old over time, and it tends to be you don't do it. Human nature just, I don't like that as a solution. You can do it, and if you have the stick-to-itiveness to do it for forever, bless you. But I don't, and most people don't. So anyway, one of the popular network things, and this is what we had for our server that got hacked, network attached storage. And guess what? Ours got crypto locked. Yep. And so for those of you who don't know what it is, network attached storage is it has like a computer minimal system and then a bunch of hard drive space on it. And you plug it into a network, and then all the computers on your network can back up to it, and you can share files off of it, although it's slower than a real computer. But anyway, but it's called network attached storage. It just means you plug it into your network and everybody can see it. Unfortunately, so can the virus see it, and that's what messed up our backup program. Now, there are ways around it to hide your network attached storage device. I am not going into it right now, but there are some ways, but you just be real careful and whatever. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, now, what do the viruses look like? This is the one that I got, and this is a non-important file or folder within the customer's thing, and I've blacked out or whited out the user's name. But anyway, this is what it'll look like before the modern virus when they encrypt you. And so the .NET folder, that's the I don't know, the third white one down. The text ID is for the hacker to decrypt it, and then that number after it is an encryption number that you have to have in order to decrypt the file, and it's unique to your encryption. Every computer that they encrypt has a different one of those to make it much tougher for anybody to decrypt it. The mksmoke@aol.com actually was an email address. It worked for about 3 or 4 days before AOL shut it down. But I did communicate with the guy. I wasn't going to pay him, but I did communicate with him, see how it worked, and start my journey on this. And this is a .wallet, which is one of the Dharma. That's the family, and the .wallet is a variant of the Dharma family. Basically, so far, this one, nobody's figured out how to crack, and some people are theorizing they're never going to be able to figure out how to crack it, which is just lovely, because while we had our critical data backed up on Mosey, we didn't have everything backed up, and of course, people were putting stuff where they probably shouldn't have, and you get 25 users in an office, and who knows what happens. Anyway, so miscellaneous information. Nearly all of the variants of crypto will lock up all the data they can find, including all forms of backup. I have even read on the in the Dharma.wallet place that I'm going to get information on it, that when they couldn't get into the backup file, the hacker was able to format the hard drive and wipe out the backup that way. That seems kind of extreme, but nonetheless, that has been reported as having happened. Most of them will disable the antivirus programs, at least they try to. Generally speaking, they go create firewall rules that prevent the antivirus from doing much of anything. And then the hackers migrate to the most lethal package. In other words, if one package they come up with a solution to, everybody drops that one and they go to another. There are 25 of them, and those guys come out with a new version about every 3 or 4 months. And so they will migrate from plan to plan. And of course, they all communicate out in the dark web where you can't find them. But so that whatever it is, you'll get the worst version out there probably if you get hacked. It's thrilling to know, but that's the reality of it. If you use POP3 mail programs, those are the ones where you download the email, remove the email off of the server so that the copy of email only exists on your computer, do not forget to back up regularly your copy of the email files. And that can be a little bit tricky because my email file is too big to actually be backed up onto the OneDrive cloud. So I have to do a separate one on that. So if you have any email programs, if the primary file stays in the cloud, if you're using Exchange or you're using IMAP, you shouldn't have any problems because Google or Apple or somebody out there is keeping the main file, and then you're just running a copy of it. If your copy gets smashed, you can just plug back in and you can get back up and running. But remember the golden rule of this one is, if the hacker can see where your files are backed up, I mean, if you can see where your files are backed up, so can the hackers. And just start taking a look around your network and what's vulnerable, because everything you can see. If two spouses share files on each other, if one of them gets hacked, the other one's going to get crypto locked, whatever they're sharing. So you got to be careful about shares on your family network and all the rest of it. It gets nasty, and thinking about how to fix this gets even worse. But do spend some time thinking about it and try to fix whatever solutions you come up with. Make them ones you don't have to do yourself manually. Make sure that they're automatic. Okay. Several variants of the CryptoLocker CryptoViruses leave a hidden VPN tunnel, so that once you've restored everything and you're up and running just beautifully, they can do it to you again. Isn't that wonderful? And you can't find the VPN tunnel very easily. They're very well hidden. So anyway, some people are saying if you get crypto locked, you should just do, no matter what, you should do a reinstall of the operating system and start over from scratch. And that may be good advice. Jury's still out on whether that works. And then several variants, including the one that I got, the Dharma.wallet, leave the operating system so it will boot, but it won't do other basic functionality. And this one got us because we had all the data backed up, all the critical data anyway, but when we booted the server, it would come up, but nobody could talk to it. All the sharing was gone, and so nobody could see any files on the server. You couldn't open up Internet Explorer or Firefox or Chrome or any program like that. You couldn't do anything that a server is supposed to do. It just booted to allow you to see the message that you've been hacked. But anyway, so you really do need to have the ability to do a full system restore, because you may need to. Trying to decrypt all of the Windows files is not going to happen. So anyway, just be aware you may have to restore the OS as well as your data, and you'd better have an image file backup. Okay, resources. The two at the top, and this is something that the good guy hackers do. The first one's bleepingcomputer.com. And there's a tendency to think, well, that isn't a safe site. Well, yes, it is. Goldencomputer.com is probably a hacker site, but bleepingcomputer.com is probably a white hat hacker site. The next one is Foolish IT, and somebody told him later on that you could read that a little differently. I'll leave you to figure out how you could do that. But it's Foolish IT, and he has a lot of really good information about all kinds of stuff for computers. But in addition to that, he has an excellent prevention tool. There's a free version, you can install it, but it's just static. If you don't update it regularly, you will eventually become a victim, or at least could fall victim of the latest and greatest hack. So if you want to buy a copy for 1 year, he'll charge you $20. But if you want to subscribe for, leave your credit card information for, purchase next year, he charges you $15. And then, at the end of the year, if you don't cancel, he will charge another $15. But it automatically updates the tool as rapidly as he finds a new hack and a new way of hitting you. He goes in and figures out a way to prevent it. He's very creative about how to do it. He's done some stuff I never would have thought of in terms of how to prevent this stuff. Very clever, very good guy, and don't let the name fool you. But those are really good sites. The next two, Trend Micro's an antivirus company, so is Kaspersky, and both of them have libraries of decryptor tools But unfortunately, they're mostly the older versions that you probably aren't going to get today or tomorrow. But they keep trying, and if the new ones come out, they will one or the other of them will probably have the solution. Also, most of the sites have forums where you can search for and keep up to date on something if you've been hacked. I'm keeping up to date on the bleepingcomputer.com forum for my .wallet variant, and there's no good news yet. So, but I'm on page 80 something of about, I don't know, maybe 10 messages per page. So you can figure out a lot of us have been hit, and it's going on. It's been about a month now. But anyway, that pretty much gets it. And those are the resources. And questions, we can. I'll see. I'll take questions in a minute. But anyway, that's my information. My email is tech, and then they just said @ but it should be the @ sign, cipsug.org or cipcug.org if you prefer. And if anybody sends me anything at that address, I'll try to respond to you in a fairly short period of time. I'm more than happy to help out. I am really ticked at the cryptovirus stuff because I thought we were protected and we weren't. And I'm a little bit embarrassed. And also mad at my customer because we had tried to put it was a remote desktop hit, and we had tried to put a stronger password on it. And client rejected it. That's the one I always use. I'll never remember anything else. And we acquiesced in that, which turned out to be a huge mistake. But anyway, we paid and he paid, and anyway, that's the end. So if you, John, if you have any questions for me, hit me up and let me know.
You got to be kidding. Let's see if we have time to do very few of them. You talked about that hidden VPN tunnel. Is there a way to find it? It's not too hard.
The individual VPN tunnel that they did, it isn't terribly difficult to find, but once somebody's figured out how to do it, there'll be different ways of doing it. So the answer is, even if I tell you how to get rid of the last VPN tunnel, doesn't mean that you're going to get rid of the next one. Mm-hmm. So it's long, involved, and it's not easy. And when we get all done, maybe or maybe not. If you have Wireshark and you know how to use it, you can start looking for packets of it phoning home. And I'll give that as just a start. But if you don't know what Wireshark is,
right?
Okay, it probably finding it isn't for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not for the average person.
No.
Okay. So what about the security programs that claim they can stop cryptoviruses, like the Malwarebytes premium version or the WinControl War, Bitdefender, Internet Security? Can they really protect us?
And the answer, okay, first of all, it's an arms race. The cryptovirus guys figure out how to get around everything that they know about. And then they go out and they infect a bunch of computers as fast as they can. And then the virus program writers, they go out and they go, oh, look, we got a new attack in the wild. How does it work? How can we stop it? We will come up with a way of stopping it, and then they will come up with something in their program that will stop it. And yes, they all have their good points, bad points, whatever. The foolish IT site that I gave you on the last slide, the one advantage that it has, the crypto prevention tool that they have, is nothing is running in the background all the time. It periodically will phone home and ask if there's a new version, and it'll download it in the background. But other than that, it doesn't do anything. The Malwarebytes and the other ones that are running, they all add stuff in RAM on your computer. They tend to slow it down, and I don't think they're as effective as the foolish IT guy. I think he probably has he's probably on top of it, mainly because this is the only thing that he tries to prevent. The others, I like Malwarebytes. I don't like Malwarebytes running all the time in the background. I like to, if I see something or if I click on something and it gives me an uneasy feeling, I'll go run a Malwarebytes scan. And I do that. Yeah, it's great. But I don't like Malwarebytes running in the background because it's a big program.
Yeah, and to have the crypto one, you have to pay the premium one, and then it's supposed to be running all the time. A couple quick questions, because you're going to have a big list that Judy will send you.
Okay.
You didn't specifically mention Chromebooks, but they're Linux, Android. So are they still crypto?
Yes.
Vulnerable?
Because the Chromebooks, you save your data on the Google Cloud, and yes, those can be encrypted. The Google Cloud, however, has versioning. You should be able to go back once you've and I don't know whether the CRYPTOVIRUS would stay after you shut down the computer and then started back up again, because the operating system is so minimal.
Right.
It might be that if you have it and you have it running, because generally Chromebooks don't have that much data anyway, it could, while you're running in the background, encrypt your data, and then when you reboot the computer, it might not even be running. But that means that your data is still encrypted unless you go back to a previous version. It might work pretty well as a method of protection. It's not something I have read about as a way of protecting yourself, but certainly that could work.
Okay. Last quick question. Backing up, is it good enough just to turn off your external drive if you have a way to turn it off and not unplugging it?
Sure. If it has an off-on switch on it and you just turn it off, that's fine. Just make sure you don't bump that switch.
Oh, yeah. like switches on Yetis and stuff.
Yeah.
We really thank you. This has been